Hello students, today we are going to discuss some 1 marks questions or 2 marks questions also, not numericals. Numericals will be discussed in the next lecture. Related to the topic called Young's double slit experiment. Okay, so let us have a quick recap of whatever we have seen so far. What we have seen is the condition for constructive interference, that is the delta phi. Delta phi must be equal to 2n pi and the corresponding delta x must be equal to n times of lambda. This is for maxima or constructive interference, and for minima delta phi must be equal to 2n minus 1 times of pi, or delta x must be equal to 2n minus 1 lambda by 2. This is for minima. Then from the center of the screen, the position of n lambda d by d is the position for maxima from the center of the screen, and y will be equal to 2n minus 1 lambda d by twice d. This is for minima, that is from the center of the screen. Then also we saw the fringe width formula. The fringe width formula is lambda d by small d. This is the formula for fringe width. Okay. Now let's try to understand from here. The 1 marks questions which we have to discuss now. So moving ahead, the first one is this. We will discuss about this concept of coherent source. What exactly do you mean by coherent source? See, what happens when we will try to understand. Okay, the definition is very easy, but we will try to understand over here. So what we did in the Young's double slit experiment, we took a source and then we put a barrier and then we put 2 slits over here. Okay, 2 slits were kept over here, so that from the same wavefront, this is one wavefront and this is another wavefront. So from the same wavefront we got 2 secondary sources. Now, what happens when you obtain a maxima? And when you obtain a maxima at a point, your crest overlaps with crest. Correct? That means if you consider a wave like this, so when you say the crest overlaps with crest, you get the central maxima of phase difference 0. Now just imagine if the phase difference between them starts fluctuating. That means you are having a wave which looks like this, and then suddenly it looks like this. That means this wave and this wave, these are the 2 waves. This is wave 1, let us consider wave 1 and wave 2. This is wave 1, this is wave 2. Then the wave 2 becomes like this. Then again the wave 1 becomes like this. So what is happening here? The same crest and crest are not overlapped throughout a longer duration of time. That means the phase difference is changing constantly. Phase difference is changing continuously. If I consider the beginning, let us say over here, this is my wave 1 and wave 2. What is the phase difference? Phase difference here was equal to 0. Now when this becomes cosine function and this becomes sine function, the phase constant becomes equals to let us say pi by 2. Now what is the effect on the screen now? So let us say this happened at time t equal to 0, and in a very fraction of time, let us say t equal to 0.0001 second, it changes to this mode. Now at time t equal to 0, the center was maxima because crest was overlapping with crest, and then immediately thing has changed. Now the phase difference has become pi by 2. So when the phase difference becomes pi by 2, you don't know whether it will be a maxima, neither it will be a minima. And let us say another instant, let us say t is equal to 0.002 second. Let us say that the wave 1 looks like this and wave 2 still looks like this. So in that case the drop overlaps with crest. So the same central point is behaving for some instant of time as maxima, for some instant time as minima, and in between them for some other instant of time. Okay, neither maxima nor minima. So there is a fluctuation at this point, at the center of the screen. So if I want this to remain maxima, this is important now. If I want that this remains maxima throughout the entire experiment. I have to ensure that this always happens. That means the crest always overlaps with crest thoroughly and continuously. Crest should overlap with crest. The moment it starts fluctuating, the moment the wave pattern starts fluctuating, we say that the phase difference between them has started changing. Okay, so in that case, the maxima will become minima, the minima again will become maxima, the maxima will again become minima. So what is happening on the screen? You will not get a sustained interference. This is the key word. You will not get a sustained interference. There will be a fluctuation. So I am going to sum up now. What are the things which you have to know now? So what exactly is coherent source of light? Definition, it should include two things, rather three things, and then you can make a sentence. Two waves having constant. This is one single sentence. Okay, I'm just giving you the bullet points. This is one single sentence. Two waves having constant phase difference. The word is constant phase difference and same frequency. So two source of waves will be called a coherent source of light if they have constant phase difference and have same frequency. Okay, this is what we call as coherent source of light. And how to obtain them? Generally we split the same source into two. So this is how we have obtained. We generally split them. So from one source we put a barrier, we put two openings over here, and then from the same two more are opened. So if any fluctuation is happening over here, that fluctuation is same in both of them, and hence the difference in the phase remains again constant. Okay. Now another type of question which they ask is that there are two bulbs. There are two bulbs having same wavelength. Can this be called a coherent source of light? Answer is no. They cannot be called coherent source of light. Because see, how does the light what do you call it? When we say that a light is emitting from here, let us say a light is emitting from here and this light is emitting from here. There is no guarantee that between them the phase difference will remain constant. Okay. So in this case, if they ask you can two source of light having same frequency can be called as a coherent source of light, answer is no, because they may not have the constant phase difference. So answer is no, they may not have. These are two bulbs having same color, having same light, having same light frequency. Two bulbs having same light frequency cannot be referred as coherent source, as they may not have constant phase difference. Okay. Next thing which they ask is this: why do we need coherent source of light? Why do we need coherent source of light? Answer is to attain to form a sustained interference pattern. To form a sustained interference pattern. Okay, to form a sustained interference pattern. Okay. Take a note of this. We have done with the coherent part, the definition, the bulbs things, and then why all three are included. See, the same frequency, if you wish to write, you write. If you don't wish to write, don't write, it's okay, no problem. It's better to write, but we will be awarded marks for this part. Two waves having constant phase difference and same frequencies are called coherent source of light. Second thing which we are going to learn now is the dependence of wavelength. Now, if you see all these formulas which we have derived, it depends on the wavelength, correct? Starting with the formula of y, which I wrote as n lambda d by small d. Then the for dark, I wrote 2n minus 1 lambda d by 2d. And the fringe width formula, which I wrote as lambda d by d. Thickness of the fringe depends on the wavelength. So if I use the pattern of Wittgen, we know from class 10 that red has the highest wavelength, correct? So if I do an experiment with a red light, with a red coherent source of light, I will obtain a maxima of red color. Minima will be obviously dark, okay? There is no doubt with the minima. Minima has nothing to do with the color, it is dark region. So the maxima will be of red color and the minima will be of dark region. And now if I do a next experiment, let us say with blue color, I will have the maxima of blue colors now. What is the difference? The difference is this. When I did the experiment with red color, the red patches or the red bright fringe will be more thicker compared to the blue, because the fringe width depends directly on wavelength. Okay. So with red color, the thickness of the bright fringes will be more compared to the blue color. Okay. So fringe width increases with the increase in lambda. So that is first thing you have to know. Okay. So fringe width increases with increase in wavelength. Second thing, and this is a very common question which they ask, the extremely common question which they ask is that what will happen if I put the entire, if the entire setup of YDAC. Now what is the setup? A source, a barrier, and the slit where we make the holes, and a screen. If this entire setup is immersed in a liquid of refractive index, if YDSE setup is immersed in a liquid of refractive index, let us say mu, okay, or some book says n, whichever it says. I am defining as mu. Refractive index mu. If YDSE setup is immersed in a liquid of refractive index mu, then what happens? This is the first thing that happens. All formulas which has lambda will be replaced as lambda by mu. If you do remember, this is another formula which we learned in class 10. Correct? Velocity also decreases by lambda. If you remember velocity in a medium is equal to velocity in a space divided by refractive index. And lambda also, this is, if I consider this is lambda in air, lambda in a medium, lambda in any medium is equal to lambda in air divided by refractive index. This is in any medium. So this is the formula. That means, so let us, all these formulas, wherever you have lambda, a mu will appear in the denominator. A mu will appear in the denominator. So how does the fringe width formula? Let us focus on the fringe width formula. So fringe width formula will be equal to, now this is lambda in air, lambda in a medium multiplied by d by small d, and now I can write lambda ms, lambda of air divided by mu into d by small d, where this lambda is wavelength in air. The point which to be noted here is that the fringe width decreases by 1 by mu times. Okay. So you can see here a mu factor comes in. What does it mean? Now mu is always more than 1. We know that refractive index is always more than 1. So if mu is more than 1, what does it mean? It means that the fringe width or the fringe pattern will shrink. Okay? Because if I consider that if this was the fringe width, in air, and now the fringe width in a medium will be slightly less. This will be in medium. So this thickness will slightly shrink. Okay? So the fringe pattern will shrink, or the fringe width will shrink. So what will have to write? The fringe width will decrease. And then you write this formula. This formula you have to write. You just write fringe width will decrease, nobody will give you the marks. Right? Fringe width will decrease, and then you write this formula. Beta is equal to lambda d by mu times of d. Okay? Or you can use the word fringe width will shrink. Okay? Fringes will shrink. And then you write this formula. Whichever way you want to write, you can write. I suggest use this word decrease. The fringe width will decrease. Okay? So this is the next thing which they ask. Dependence on wavelength. Okay, next. Then comes the concept called intensity of light and amplitudes and all. Intensity of light. Okay. Now here I will start from the basic, from the scratch. Now let us say you have two waves. Let us say if I consider a wave equation, how does the wave equation looks like? I am going to use the wave equation here, but the y which I am going to write here does not represent the y from the screen which we have measured. I am just writing a wave equation. This is not so important, but just let us say from class 11, if I write the wave equations are like this: kx minus omega t, and let us say this is y1, this is y2. Another wave has, let us say, has an amplitude of a1, a2, and then kx minus omega t plus phi. What is phi here? Phi is the phase difference between y1 and y2. Okay. So if I draw a phasor diagram over here, now we are compatible with phasor diagram. So we know that the amplitude A1 having a 0, so x equal to 0 and t equal to 0, the phase is 0. So A1 will be in this direction. For x equal to 0, t equal to 0, it still has a phase of phi. So this is my phi. A2 has a phi. Okay. Now, if I take a component over here, so this is my A1 and this one will become your A2 cos phi. And this one will be your A1 sin phi. And now let us say I want to find a resultant, and say that my resultant is this. Then how will you find the resultant? Resultant will be, now these two will be added up, and this is perpendicular. So resultant square will be is equal to A1, that vector calculation which you have learned, A1 plus A2 cos phi the whole square plus A2 sin phi the whole square. Okay. And then if you simplify this, the resultant will look like, if you take a square root, this is the formula which you will get. A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 cos phi. And remember what is phi? Phi here is my phase difference. Okay. We also know that intensity is proportional to amplitude square, again from class 10. So if I write this formula again without the square root, I will write like this: A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 cos phi. And then if intensity is proportional to amplitude square, I can write this as resultant intensity is equal to intensity I1 plus intensity I2 plus 2 root over of intensity I1 root over of intensity I2 cos phi. So this is the amplitude formula to find the resultant amplitude when two waves superimposes on each other, and this is the formula of intensity when two waves superimposes on each other. Just take a note of this. moving ahead. It's not done. It is not done. I'm still doing it. So this is my formula. I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 root I2 cos phi. And this is my amplitude formula. Amplitude, resultant amplitude will be equal to, okay, let me write this formula, A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2 cos phi. And this is my phi value. Now I am starting from the left. Okay. Now we know that the condition for bright fringes is 2 and pi. So the condition for, remember what is phi? Phi is my phase difference. You can write delta phi if you wish. Phi is my phase difference. Let's not forget the phase difference. Now we know that for maxima phi is equal to 2 and pi. So when phi is equal to 2 and pi, the value of cos phi is always plus 1. If it is plus 1, what is the changes over here? AR square will be is equal to A1 square plus A2 square plus 2A1 A2. Cos phi is 1. And that is equal to A1 plus A2 the whole square. This is my resultant amplitude. And hence resultant amplitude will be is equal to A1 plus A2. Correct? And then I am going to put a condition of if. If A1 is equal to A2, AR will be is equal to 2A. Let us say A0. If A1 equals to A2 is equal to A0, then the resultant amplitude will be equal to 2A0. Okay? What will happen on the intensity formula? Intensity will be is equal to I1 plus I2 plus 2 root I1 I2 cos phi is 1. Okay, and this will be is equal to I can write this as root I1 plus root I2 the whole square. Correct? This is what we needed. If your A1 is equal to A2 is equal to A0, that means I can write I1 is equal to I0, I2 is equal to I0. So the resultant intensity will be is equal to root over of I0 plus root over of I0 the whole square, and that is equal to 2 root I0 the whole square, and that is equal to 4 I0. That means the maxima, remember all this we have done for maxima, okay, all this we have done for maxima. This is for maxima, okay, so put a bracket like this, this is all for maxima. We are all doing this for maximum. Okay? We are all doing this for maximum. So what is the catch over here? This I am going to come back to this very soon. So I will come back to this very soon. Okay? The intensity of maxima is 4 I0, where I0 is the intensity of each light. But let me first complete the minima part. Now let's deal with the minima. Now we know that for minima the value of phi is 2n minus 1 into pi, and for that the value of cos phi is minus 1. You can check, you can just put n equals to 1, you will get pi. Cos 180 is minus 1. So what will you get? You will get, I will not do the entire calculation now, it's very simple now. This becomes minus 1, so this becomes minus, so this becomes minus. So AR will be is equal to A1 minus A2, and if your A1 is equal to A2 is equal to A0, your resultant amplitude will be is equal to 0. Complete darkness. Okay, so resultant amplitude will be A1 minus A2. Now come over here. Here I will get I is equal to root of I1 minus root of I2, the whole square. And then I will put the condition. If A1 equals to A2 is equal to A0, I will write I1 equals to I2 is equal to I0. Okay. Then what will happen? You will get the total intensity as 0. It is complete darkness. Okay. So this is the intensity formula, and this is the formula for wavelength. Okay. Coming back now, let's move ahead. Okay, I have space, so I will just conclude the statement after this over here only. Now, what is happening over here? Now, let us try to understand very carefully what I am going to say now. Suppose in a room you have two bulbs. Both bulbs are switched off. You switch on the first bulb, and that room is filled with the intensity of I naught, let us say. You switch on the another bulb, and the room is filled with another intensity I naught. Intensity is nothing but energy per unit area per unit time. So basically your room is now filled with intensity 2 I naught, correct? I naught from one bulb and I naught from two bulbs. This is normal behavior of light when interference is not taking place, because there is no slit in the room. There is no slit in the room. Now what is happening in YDXT experiment when you have single source and you are dividing it into two from a narrow slit, and then you are allowing them to overlap each other under a controlled condition? What you are having is this. So if these are the two slits over here, I'm going to say that the ray from here is having an intensity of I naught, the ray from here is having an intensity of I naught. What I'm expecting on the screen? I'm expecting a bright fringe here of 4 I naught, then I'm expecting another bright fringe of 4 I naught, then I'm expecting a bright fringe of 4 I naught, and so on. And there are dark fringes also. So here they ask a question, thus YDSE violates the principle of energy conservation. I naught was supposed to give you 2 I naught, but it is now giving you 4 I naught. So does it violate the energy principle? Answer is no. It does not violate the energy principle. Now how can you justify this now? Now just imagine these are the 4 pens over here, okay? Think in this manner. So in an uncontrolled situation, if I switch on one light from here and one light from here, I naught, entire pattern is 2 I naught, 2 I naught, 2 I naught thoroughly. From here till here, it is all 2 I naught, 2 I naught, 2 I naught. But what happens in YDSE? One of the region becomes dark. So the energy of 2 I naught vanishes from here and appears here with the already existing 2 I naught. And one more, so it was like this. So this vanishes and appears with this, and this vanishes and this vanishes and appears with this. So what we have? We have now 4 I naught bright regions. So earlier I have 2 I naught, a continuous bright region of 2 I naught, 2 I naught, 2 I naught. Then a region of 2 I naught vanishes. Another region of 2 I naught vanishes. This energy appears with one of the 2 I naught region, and this appears with another 2 I naught region, and it becomes 4 I naught region. So the answer to this question is no, it does not violate the energy principle, because the intensity of bright fringes has become 4 I naught because at the cost of dark region losing the energy of 2 I naught. Okay. So what will you write? YDSE does not violates the energy principle, energy conservation principle, as the bright fringe gains energy at the cost of dark fringe, at the cost of formation of dark fringe. Okay, that means the dark region loses the energy and that energy is gained by the bright region. Okay, so that is the region part. Now we are going for some graph. So pause the video and take a note of this. This graph is a very frequently asked question in board exam, which I am going to discuss now. So the whole idea of this graph is this. We just saw that I is equal to root over of I1. Sorry. I is equal to put the heading as graph I1 plus I2 plus 2 root over of I1 root over of I2 and then cos phi. This is what we just saw. Okay. Now, if I1 is equal to I2 is equal to I0. Now, where I am differing from the previous statement, I did this condition under the condition of maxima and minima, but right now I am just going to take a general formula for any phase constant, but for the condition of I1 equals to I2 is equal to I0. That means if both the amplitudes are same, A1 equals to A2 equals to A1. Okay. So in that case, I will write I is equal to I0 plus I0 plus 2 root over of I0 into root over of I0 into cos phi. And this is equal to 2 I0. This is also 2 I0 cos phi. This I can write as 2 I0 1 plus cos phi. And this has a formula. This is a formula which says 2 cos square phi by 2. It's the formula over here. The formula is this. Cos 2 theta is equal to cos square theta minus 1. This is the formula which I am talking about. Cos 2 theta is equal to cos square theta minus 1. So since I have dealing with 2 theta, so theta is here, would have been this as theta, this will become theta by 2. And if you take this one on that side, you will get, my fault. This is 2 cos square theta minus 1. This is the formula. So when you take this one on that side, you will find that pattern over here, and hence the answer is 2 cos square phi by 2. What this will give me? This will give me 4 I naught cos square phi by 2. This is I. Okay. We will just quickly verify this whether what we have done is correct or wrong. So we know that for bright, what happens for bright? For bright, the value of phase difference must be equal to 2 and pi. So what is the value of cos square phi by 2? That is equal to cos square. Put the value of phi. Phi is 2 and pi, and then divide by 2 in the formula. So what will you get? You will get this as cos square n pi by 2. Sorry, 2 gets out, so you will get cos square n pi. Now, for bright, let us say for the first bright, n is equal to 1, so cos square pi, that is minus 1. But so for any value of n, when you put the condition of bright as 2 and pi, for any value of n, cos square function will be always, this value will be always equal to 1. Okay? And when you put that in the formula, intensity formula will be is equal to 4 I naught, always. Now what about the dark? If you have dark region, then phi will be is equal to 2 and pi, 2 and minus 1 into pi, and that will give you the value of cos square phi by 2 as cos square 2 and minus 1 into pi by 2 the whole, and that will be always be multiples of pi by 2. Okay, like odd multiples of pi by 2. So it will be like pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, and all those values are always 0, and hence my intensity will be always equal to 0. For any other, remember this is entrance question. If a path difference is given to you, definitely you can find the value of phase difference. Remember the formula? The formula is lambda by 2 pi into phase difference delta phi. So delta phi will be is equal to delta x into 2 pi divided by lambda. So for any, please give me the liberty of writing delta phi and phi. Both are same. Okay, so for any value of path difference, if you know the path difference, you can find the corresponding phase difference. And when you find the corresponding phase difference, you can put that phase difference over here in the formula, and you can find the intensity at that point. Okay. Now this is very important, the graph which I am going to draw. So please take a note of this. Moving ahead now. So we just check the formula over here as I is equal to 4 I naught cos square phi by how does the graph look like over here? So this is where I am going to draw the graph now. Remember, hold it for some moment. So I am going to plot the graph over here. This is my y, this is my axis. Intensity axis. And this is, let us say, 4 I naught. So how does the graph? It's a cos square function, so nothing will be in the denominator. Cos square function means okay. I hope it is visible. If it is not visible, no problem. And this is my value of phi. So this one is 0 intensity. So the value of first value, this is 0. The value of phi is 0. So the first dark will appear at pi. First bright will appear at 2 pi. Then third, this will be 3 pi. Then this will be 4 pi, and so on. And on this side we will write the same thing but with minus sign. So at all the odd multiples will be the minima, that is the dark region, and at all the even multiples will be a bright region. And this graph they ask as for 2 marks. Draw the variation of intensity of light with respect to phase difference. Okay? Okay. You know what, why I have drawn this? So when you have started the slit and the two slits and the wave patterns are formed, basically the intensity variations are like this. This is the intensity variation like this. So this region is called the bright region. And this one is perfectly dark. See, dark is a point. Dark is a point. Okay? But when we talk about dark fringe, remember it depends on the sensitivity of our eyes. Okay, so what we see as a bright is the bright region because we can see that as a bright region. But remember, there is nothing called dark region. Dark is a point. This appears to our eyes as dark because the intensities are very, very less. So we consider this to be the dark fringe, and we consider this to be the bright fringe. Okay. And this is how the intensity pattern. So you will get a maxima over here. At the center is the maxima. So this is a bright region, maxima, then minima, then again maxima, and so on the both sides. So this graph is extremely important. And suppose, okay, take a note of this. Take a note of this graph because I'm going to change it. Okay, if you have taken a note, now suppose if they ask you draw the variation, put another heading. By seeing the axis only, you should be able to understand the heading. If they ask you draw the variation of intensity with respect to the path difference, so now the question has changed. So they want you to draw with respect to the path difference. So this will not come. So wherever there is a maxima, it has to be even multiples of lambda, and whenever there is a minima, it should be lambda by 2. So 0 lambda by 2 lambda. 3 lambda by 2, and this will be 2 lambda, and so on over here. Minima means lambda by 2, maxima means lambda, and this will be 3 lambda by 2, and so on. So now the same graph has been changed with respect to path difference. Okay, please know how to label the graph. These are all 2 marks questions, and ensure that you keep the height constant. Okay, the height should not fluctuate. The height should not fluctuate. The height should remain 4 I naught throughout. Also, they will not give you marks. They will not give you marks if you have drawn the graph like this. Look at here. You are making a sharp turn over here. There is no sharp turn over here. There is no sharp turn over here. It's a transition. Okay, it goes like this and then goes up. It's a transition, not a sharp ends like this. Okay, they will not give marks if you draw it like this. Trust me. Okay, so that's it. And now in the next class will be the class based on numerical session. We will meet in the next class with numerical session. Thank you for watching.